Hello. Welcome. It's Doug Diamond, and you are here for another Diamond Report Live. I'm glad you made it. I'm glad I made it, and we are still here, wherever you may be in the world. It is 10:07 p.m. where I'm at. That is in Central Time Zone, U.S., on December the 3rd, 2023. So, hope you guys have had a good weekend thus far and have had a good week since we last were together. Last Sunday night, and I thought we'd go through some news. I've got quite a few articles pulled up here and some things we could take a look at. I thought that video was pretty interesting, very prescient, very good info, and not something you see from David Icke, for sure. I mean, mentioning Christ and, well, he didn't, but the video there mentioned Christians and stuff. So I thought that was pretty interesting that he's even broaching that type of subject, talking about prophecy a little bit. Again, he didn't, but it was in the video from his channel. So welcome. I'm glad you guys are here. This is the Diamond Report Live, and let's take a look at the news. We've got several things to look at on HalTurnerRadioshow.com. This is the site I usually start with. So you may notice a pattern as we go through the news here. There's some sites that I really trust and really think that they have really good breaking news, and Hal Turner Radio Show is certainly one of those, and would highly recommend you guys follow Hal's work. I think he's doing a really good job. He does have a weekly radio show. He doesn't pay me to talk about it. I'm just letting you guys know. If you want breaking news and somebody who is very, very much on the cutting edge, and some of the first news sources you will hear talk about certain things as it comes out. You know, he's oftentimes days or weeks ahead of the mainstream media if they even bother reporting a lot of the stuff he talks about, which of course they don't. So let's take a look here. We have the big bombshell news really for the week has been New Zealand. Magnitude 7.6 quake. This Hal's stating here that it smashes the Philippines. And it may have smashed the Philippines, although I have a friend in the Philippines, and he didn't even mention it. I've talked to him recently, and he didn't mention it. So, but it depends on where he's at, I guess, versus where the quake happened. A tsunami threat notice had been issued after a very strong magnitude 7.6 earthquake struck in the ocean just off the coast of the Philippines. Now, when was this? This was Saturday morning. So it struck at about 9:17 Eastern Time, U.S. on Saturday. So this has been quite a while now. But I don't know if you guys knew about this, but they did issue a tsunami warning, I guess. But with the 7.6 quake, you do run the risk of having a possible tsunami. It likely wouldn't be very large. That usually comes with the 8.0s and larger quakes. In at least as far as in my experience watching these things. So yeah, 7.6 quake striking the Philippines. Pretty interesting, huh? Another continent, another war. U.S. troops reportedly deploying. So it says Brazil's military was placed on high alert this afternoon. This was a few days ago now. Ordered to make immediate preparations for invasion by Venezuela into neighboring Guyana. So more wars. Just what they wanted. Just what they wanted. All right, so that is Hal's website, and again, feel free to take a look at this. There's the topmost article. Well, he's got one on gold here, gold spiking Sunday night, but this for subscribers only is kind of interesting. It says covert intel: U.S. troops called at 4 a.m. Quote, be at base by 6 a.m. for deployment. Tell families to be sure to ... That's for subscribers only. And I can't show you that, even though I am a subscriber. If you click through it, though, you won't be able to actually see anything unless you're a subscriber, which I think Hal says it's something like $1 a week or something like that. So, yeah, you can get access to these types of secure sort of postings if you're a subscriber on his site. And I highly recommend it. I think he's doing a really good job. Anyway, that was the Hal Turner Radio Show website. Let's keep moving here. We've got lots of tabs across the top of the screen, as you can see. G. Edward Griffin's Need to Know.news. Lots of new articles posted this week on needtoknow.news, of course, the main one here. Kissinger, top U.S. diplomat responsible for millions of deaths, dies at 100. There he is. The old slug. Henry Kissinger is dead at 100. He was born Heinz Alfred Kissinger in Germany on May 27, 1923, and he immigrated to the U.S. in 1938 among a wave of Jews fleeing Nazi oppression. Kissinger was a consultant for the administrations of JFK and LBJ before serving as National Security Advisor from 69 to 75 and Secretary of State from 73 to 77 under Nixon and Ford. Kissinger helped prolong the Vietnam War and expanded the bombing into neutral Cambodia that paved the way for the genocidal Khmer Rouge, whose campaign of overwork, torture, and murder killed 2 million people, roughly 20% of the population. Kissinger also supported genocidal militaries in Pakistan and Indonesia. During his tenure, the U.S. dropped 9 billion pounds of munitions in Indochina. He accelerated civil wars in southern Africa and supported coups and death squads throughout Latin America. He had the blood of at least 3 million people on his hands. 3 million people. In 1982, he founded Kissinger Associates, an international consulting group that became a revolving door refuge for top national security officials looking to cash in on their government service. After being tapped to head the 9/11 Commission, families of victims raised questions about potential conflicts of interest due to Kissinger's financial ties with governments that could be implicated in the Commission's work. Kissinger was never charged or prosecuted for deaths for which he bore responsibility. A biographer described him as, quote, disturbed and unbelievably adolescent. So, and then there's a video embedded here and further information. So, quite a bit of info on this particular article on needtoknow.news. So, yeah, he's dead, and as a friend of mine on Facebook said, I think now he understands. And I think he might. He might understand at this point. He might have his own meat hook right next to Hitler. I don't know. It's just a guess. In hell. So, let's keep moving here. Inmate who stabbed Derek Chauvin is charged with attempted murder. So we mentioned this last week, and Hal, on his website, Hal Turner Radio Show, did have on there that he had reports that Chauvin was killed, but it was unconfirmed reports. So there was nothing for him to reverse because he was saying on his website that it was unconfirmed reports, and I think we tried to stress that last week. But luckily, no, he's not dead. He was stabbed multiple times, however. An inmate who stabbed former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin 22 times in federal prison last week was charged with attempted murder Friday. You think? 22 times, and the guy still lived. You think he's not tough? Man, the prisoner told officers he intended to kill Chauvin if they hadn't intervened. Says John Turskak, 52, has been charged with attempted murder, assault with intent to commit murder, assault with a dangerous weapon, and assault resulting in serious bodily injury in the November 24th attack in Arizona. Chauvin, 47, was convicted of murder of the 2020 death of George Floyd. Anyways, it says that the complaint alleges that Turskak told FBI agents he had contemplated attacking Chauvin for about a month because of Chauvin being a high-profile inmate. The assault occurred on the day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday, a day Turskak linked to the Black Lives Matter movement and the black hand symbol associated with the Mexican mafia. So isn't that nice? So yeah, but he's not dead, and who knows how bad his injuries are, but man. And he's innocent. Like I said, we've talked about that at length as well. Who knows exactly what happened, but we do know that George Floyd's body was filled with fentanyl, and fentanyl was probably what did him in. So, anyway, Daily Signal, Google Maps removed a D.C. pregnancy center. Not surprising there, huh? Google Maps removed directions to a Washington, D.C. pro-life pregnancy center and instead offered searchers options that included a local Planned Parenthood abortion clinic. So this is what you're getting when you're searching for different things on Google. Users who attempted to search for Capitol Hill Crisis Pregnancy Center on Monday via Google Maps on either an iPhone or on the desktop found that Google Maps did not offer directions to the location. Instead, Google Maps suggested two different doula locations, a pro-life pregnancy center across the river in Maryland and a Planned Parenthood Carol Whitehill Moses Center and abortion clinic. Google confirmed to the Daily Signal that the pregnancy center's location had in fact been removed. I'm sure it was just a glitch in the software. So anyway, there's more info here, including screenshots of how it is gone. So if Google says you're gone, you're gone. Never to be found again. So that's on Daily Signal. 8 of the 9 men who gang raped a 15-year-old girl gets no prison time. 8 of the 9 men convicted of raping a 15-year-old girl in 2020 will not face jail time, according to German news outlet NIS. Because migrants are frustrated victims, and frustrated victims have the right to rape privileged white girls or something, according to a female psychiatrist. That's right. So, female psychiatrist is saying that they are just too sensitive. Their feelings were hurt. So it's okay if they rape this girl because she's white. According to this female psychiatrist, a female psychiatrist testifying on behalf of the defendants argued that their alleged gang rape was a means of releasing frustration and anger stemming from their migration experiences and socio-cultural homelessness. So yeah, she's saying it was totally fine that they did that. I wonder if she would think that if they did that to her, what she would think. Anyway, that is on Daily Caller, is where that is. There's another Daily Signal article. Auto dealers call on Biden to hit the brakes on unrealistic, unachievable electric vehicles mandate. And there he is. A coalition of nearly 4,000 auto dealers on Tuesday sent a letter to President Joe explaining why his plans to force Americans into electric vehicles are unworkable. So 4,000 auto dealers saying it can't work. The bottom line, despite subsidies to car manufacturers to make the EVs and tax credits for drivers to buy the cars, only 7% of the new vehicle sales are electric vehicles. Compared with Biden's goal, or whoever is running their goal of 60% in 2030 and 66% in 2032. But they're going to shut off the ability to gas up your car, I'm guessing. That'll be the next thing. Just like removing bullets from the chambers of those things that shoot bullets that we dare not talk about, right? So, says the auto dealers wrote that the supply of unsold battery electric vehicles is surging as they are not selling nearly as fast as they are arriving at our dealerships, even with deep price cuts, manufacturer incentives, and generous government incentives. So, in other words, no one wants the pieces of junk. So, the only electric cars I see around here are Teslas, and I do see a lot of those. But as far as other makes and models, not really. Not really. So, anyway, that's on the Daily Signal. Okay, technocracy.news. We'll take a look at these paragraphs that we can read through. City Council uses ChatGPT to create binding ordinance for 1.3 million residents. When legislators get a taste of it, AI and ChatGPT will be as addictive as fentanyl and just as destructive. Artificial intelligence writing binding legislation for humans, ? If you can't see a problem with this, then you risk being sucked into the vortex of scientific dictatorship, aka technocracy. The council president was unrepentant. I started to read more in depth and saw that, unfortunately or fortunately, this is going to be a trend. Talking about OpenAI and ChatGPT. Oh, Henry, we will not miss you. The last of the three amigos has left the building. Kissinger has been reunited with David Rockefeller and Zbigniew Brzezinski, all founding members of the Trilateral Commission. Whatever fate awaits them is God's business. But if they end up in Hades together, I expect they will be conspiring to demote the devil and take over his legion of demons. Pretty well said, and I don't disagree. So there he is on the cover there. And Eric Schmidt, AI guardrails aren't enough to prevent harm to humanity. Trilateral Commission member and former Google CEO Eric Schmidt is a master technocrat in the truest sense of the word. He was one of the pioneers of AI at Google, the inventor of surveillance capitalism, and is now heir apparent to fellow Trilateral Commissioner Henry Kissinger. Schmidt is the Pied Piper of AI, singing praises on the one hand while warning of dire consequences to humanity on the other. This is globalist snake oil. You might be able to think of some other billionaires who are doing the same type of thing, kind of playing both sides of the fence when it comes to AI, at least. Yes, so that is on technocracy.news. Liberty Beacon, I found this article and knew I had to make a comment here. Private jets headed to global warming conference, literally frozen on the runway. Now, it does make for a good headline and a nice picture, but there is an explanation here. It says, it's hard to talk about global warming when your jet is frozen to the runway. I don't disagree, and if that were true, it would be really funny and highly ironic. However, anytime you see any of these, whether it's cars or jets or whatever, totally covered in ice from top to bottom, there is an explanation. It's called chemical ice nucleation. And that is what's going on here. Private jets headed to global warming conference, literally frozen on the runway. While world leaders spoke at a global warming conference in Dubai, located in the heart of the Arabian desert, discussing the usual, banning gas stoves, cow farts, and petrol-powered vehicles, a powerful snowstorm grounded all flights at Munich Airport in Germany. Private jets in Munich on the way to Dubai, the global warming conference, are literally frozen on the runway, which is turned into a glacier. Have you seen how chemical ice nucleation works? If you've never heard of it, you should definitely check out geoengineeringwatch.org for more information. So yeah, lots of info here, including some video clips and lots of snow in Germany. So yeah, pretty interesting. That's on the Liberty Beacon. Thread Reader, I thought this was kind of interesting. I had not heard this one before. I've heard that, people yelling that nukes are fake and stuff, but I've not seen this one. Not a single ICBM with a live warhead has ever been tested. Well, if you think about it, how would they? How would they test that? The ICBM is substantially a hoax, scientifically unproven, a semi-imaginary technology. Warheads have been tested, and ICBMs with warheads removed have been tested, but never together. Imagine only ever testing a gun with powder and casing, but no projectile. In 1961, the Armed Services Committee of the U.S. House of Representatives asked, who knows whether an intercontinental ballistic missile, an ICBM with a nuclear warhead, will actually work? On 6th of May 1962, USS Ethan Allen successfully launched a Polaris A-1 with a live nuclear warhead towards Christmas Island, codenamed Frigate Bird. This was the only test the United States has ever conducted of any nuclear ballistic missiles from launch to detonation. So I suppose some of this is probably some of the armaments here that the the nuke denying type of people like to go out there and talk about. But I do think it's interesting that they've never tested them together other than what they're pointing to in this particular article. So pretty wild. So this is on Thread Reader. That's where that is. And then from What Finger, I've never heard of this website, but it says BlackRock wants $4 trillion from your retirement accounts to build rusting windmills in third world jungles. So there you go. BlackRock wants $4 trillion from your retirement accounts to build rusting windmills in third world jungles because tens of trillions in taxpayer dollars just aren't doing it for the weather fairies. The money would come from a blended finance model where subsidies push companies to dump money into renewables in poor countries. Given their record, that would mean your 401k money isn't actually trying to turn a profit, it's taking one for the climate team. Now we know why consumers are spending. They're raiding the 401ks. Hardship withdrawals from retirement accounts soared last year by 30% to 3.6 million. The top reasons are avoiding eviction for foreclosure and unpaid medical bills. This brought the average 401k balance down to $107,700. At 5%, that's enough to provide precisely $448.75 per month in retirement. Keep in mind, that's workers. We can only imagine what's happening to people who don't have a job. So this goes on here, some more info and some videos as well. But yeah, BlackRock, they've got their hands out like normal. They think they're entitled to your money. Sounds just like a government, doesn't it? Army vet 94 kicked out of New York City nursing home to make room for migrants. A 94-year-old U.S. Army vet is blasting his Staten Island assisted living home for kicking him out, then cutting a deal to welcome migrants, saying it's not fair he was sent packing. Frank Tomorrow was given less than 2 months' notice. He and 53 other seniors would have to move out of Island Shores residences in March and had to make other living arrangements. Isn't that nice? So here he is. And there's some video and pictures here associated with it. So they're kicking this guy out to make room for the migrants. Because the migrants get everything. We are being replaced. So that's happening in New York. Senator Marsha Blackburn scorches Democrat who blocked her request to subpoena Epstein's flight logs. Now, why would he do that? Earlier this month, Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn made clear her intent to seek a subpoena for the release of the Jeffrey Epstein flight logs. And here's some info about that. Senator Blackburn has provided an update to her request to subpoena and release the Epstein flight logs. And guess what? There are members of Congress who would rather that those flight logs remain a secret because you don't get to know. Senator Dick Durbin blocked my request to subpoena Jeffrey Epstein's flight logs. What are Democrats trying to hide? And we can't say that we're shocked. So there you go. We are definitely not shocked, but that's on Twitchy.com is where that is. I thought this was kind of interesting. Here's an article about nanodust from a website called NanoWork. What is smart dust and how is it used? We've talked about this before on the show. Imagine a cloud of sensors, each the size of a grain of sand or even smaller, blown aloft by hurricane winds and relaying data on the storm to weather stations below. This is the benevolent side, of course. Picture an invisible sensor network embedded into a smart city's roads to monitor traffic, road surface damage, and identify available parking spaces all in real time. Or billions of nanosensors distributed over forests and other areas with fire hazards to detect a fire at its very beginning. Or envision programmable smart dust that triggers an alarm signal when invisible micro cracks are detected in a turbine blade. Smart dust refers to wireless networks of sub-millimeter scale autonomous computing and sensing platforms not larger than a grain of sand. Smart dust senses and records data about its environment, such as light, temperature, sound, presence of toxins or vibrations, and transmits that data wirelessly to larger computer systems. Smart dust. Maybe you've heard of it. If you haven't, look into it. It's real. It's been around for quite some time. And of course, they only point to the benevolent niceties that it is used for, not all these surveillance and tracking systems that they're also using it for. But yeah, pretty interesting. There's more here, including some diagrams and pictures and all kinds of things here. So yes, smart dust. All right, Daily Mail. Earth will be bombarded by intense solar storms next year. Scientists predict we'll reach solar maximum in 2024, with flares strong enough to cripple the world's internet for weeks. Isn't that nice? And I know some other researchers and people who are talking about that very same thing, not necessarily from a solar maximum or, a CME, a coronal mass ejection type of thing, but they've been talking about the internet going down for weeks and what a perfect excuse it might be. Experts reveal when solar maximum will arrive, and it's sooner than we thought. About every 11 years, the sun goes through what is known as a solar maximum, when many bizarre dark spots appear on its surface. The sunspots, which can cluster together and form what looks like an archipelago, are caused by massive changes in our star's magnetic field. They also shoot out violent explosions of energy toward the Earth, causing solar storms that can potentially damage satellites and disrupt the internet. Unfortunately, a new study reveals that this solar maximum is coming sooner than expected, most likely in early 2024. So something to watch out for. There's been lots of people talking about how they do want to shut the internet down. And when it comes back up, it will be part of the Great Reset, and it will be, you'll have to have the world government issued ID to even be able to get on the internet, and you'll have to basically have taken the mark of the beast in order to move forward and to use the internet. So what an excuse it could be, huh? I've always thought that they would do that with war, with using a world war as an excuse to shut everything down and then bring it back up. But we'll see. This could be another excuse that they give. And we've talked about Planet X on this show before as well. Not for a while, but I do think that Planet X there's a good chance that it will make itself known, at least more known and more obvious, because it will be basically its closest point to the sun starting next year sometime. So yeah, pretty interesting. But yeah, this is talking about a CME type of situation, bringing down the internet. Headline USA, breaking, Department of Justice collected the names of every Twitter account to like and follow or retweet Trump. Twitter is required to disclose the following information: all lists of Twitter users who have favorited or retweeted tweets posted by Trump, as well as all tweets that included the username associated with the account, mentions, or replies. So if you ever retweeted Trump, they have your information and they will probably use it against you. Not a surprise there. Justice Department attorneys have released records related to their search warrant for Donald Trump's Twitter account, revealing that prosecutors obtained a vast trove of data about the former president's social media activity, including info on every account, to like, follow, or retweet him. The heavily redacted search warrant was released Monday pursuant to a November 17th judge's order, which was made after a coalition of media groups filed an application in August for the warrant and other records to be made public. From the looks of it, Twitter forked over massive amounts of information to the DOJ. This is talking about Jack Smith, and the ongoing Trump litigation war going on. So yeah, just know, though, that if you ever was out there retweeting Trump at any point, they have your name. They have your information. So you're just as guilty as the J6ers. Victor Davis Hanson warns America, brace yourself for what's coming in 2024. Conservative historian and professor Victor Davis Hanson has released a new video. It's basically a warning for America. The essence of Hanson's message is a reminder of how far the left went to stop Trump last time, and that people should be prepared for them to do anything this time. It's an ominous warning, but it's important to think ahead and be mentally prepared for anything, because that's what's on the table. So this is his video. They are terrified of him, and I do find that to be exactly true. Although I think what David Icke was talking about in the first video that we watched tonight, it just gives the system another 4 years if they put Trump in. So I don't think they will, just because they made sure to keep him out last time around. But it is interesting how many enemies the guy has. So from that standpoint, who knows? Who knows where it's going? But I don't even know that we'll make it to an election this year. I'm sort of figuring that might not happen. All right, and then this is a video that's been making the rounds. I had several people send this to me. You guys may have seen this. Watch Before That Date, Major End Time Event. This is on Janie Duvall's channel. I watched this video, and it is interesting. I think Craig here has some interesting things to talk about, and in particular, he's really into the COP28 situation as far as what King Charles is going to be heading up very soon over in United Arab Emirates. And, it sort of remains to be seen, in my opinion. COP28 is just another rung on the ladder. There's been multiple COPs, COP, climate brouhahas, climate get-togethers over the years. And basically, they do get together and rub shoulders and put out their plans, and they say what they want to do to all of us, and they do stick to their plans. Whether or not COP28 really generates anything new, I don't know. It is possible. But yeah, that's coming up in just 9 days or so, December 12th. So it's a video certainly worth considering. I don't really agree with some of the things he talks about. I do think he is a pre-tribber, which I'm not, as you guys know. But he does have a lot of good information. I do think it's worth paying attention to COP28, especially because King Charles is involved in that. And obviously, you guys know what I think about Charles. Chuck, as we say. So yeah, something to keep an eye on, and we will undoubtedly have some interesting video clips after that happens of some things that were said. Because, again, they like to announce what they want to do to all of us at these types of events and rub shoulders. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Boxer Ryan Garcia tells Arena to seek Jesus Christ after winning WBA gold. Boxer Ryan Garcia wasn't shy about sharing his faith after his 8th round knockout victory against Oscar Duarte. During his post-fight interview, Garcia stated, "I want to give honor to God and give him the glory." He continued, "I want everybody in this arena to seek Jesus Christ." Wow. How many other athletes have you heard say that? Not too many. But yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. Kamala Harris is a deer in the headlights when a reporter asks a simple question on Israel. And there she is. She was a deer in the headlights after a reporter asked her a simple question about Israel's proposed buffer zone in Gaza. Harris traveled to Dubai to represent the U.S. at COP28 with King Charles, the climate conference, because Biden is too feeble to travel. A reporter stumped Kamala Harris with one simple question: thoughts on the buffer zone? The buffer zone? You didn't answer her question, a reporter said to Harris. Sources told Reuters that Israel has plans to create a buffer zone in Gaza to prevent any further Hamas terrorist attacks. Never mind the fact that they stood down for hours, like 7 hours, and let them invade. So yes, now they're going to have a buffer zone. Sources told Reuters that Israel has plans to create the buffer zone, and Israel wants this buffer zone between Gaza and Israel from the north to the south to prevent any Hamas or other terrorists, quote unquote, from infiltrating or attacking Israel. They're both terrorists. The Israelis are terrorists. I mean, the Israeli military and the Israeli government are terrorists, as are the Palestinians who did the deed back on October the 7th. But in but in fact, most of the people who are dying are innocent kids and other innocent people. So that is on the Gateway Pundit, and says this one: Biden's push to allow illegal aliens to live in national parks using federal funds results in House GOP block. If the White House wants to bail themselves out of a border crisis using federally owned land, the House of Representatives just gave them a serious reality check. Well, we'll see. In a bill passed on Thursday, Daily Signal reported the GOP-controlled lower chamber specifically prohibited any Washington funding to house illegal migrants on land managed by the federal government. Legislation was spearheaded by Republican Rep. Nicole Maliotakis of New York. Turning our federal parks into encampments for unvetted migrants from all over the world is unfair to surrounding communities and the taxpayers being forced to foot the bill while having their public spaces taken away. You think so? You think that's true? Anyway, yeah. So there's one case, I guess you could point to temporarily at least, where the Republicans in the House did the right thing. But believe me, it's not over. They'll come back like they always do. And then here's the Gateway Pundit's article on Kissinger, America's most prolific war criminal. Henry Kissinger is dead. You almost want to sing the old Wizard of Oz thing, Ding Dong, the witch is dead. Ding Dong, the warlock is dead. At 100. Myths and truths about America's worst statesman. So there's a whole big long article on here on the Gateway Pundit. And we'll link to this article as well as all the others on my Substack. So feel free to get on that list if you're not already. And we'll send these links out as soon as possible at some point, probably tomorrow. Christian family forcibly removed from home at gunpoint, handcuffed, and locked in a van after FBI allegedly goaded 15-year-old son into posting controversial memes and gun photos. So this is the family. The Ruffini family's peaceful life was shattered when a late-night FBI operation saw them hauled at gunpoint from their home and detained in a van while agents combed their house for evidence of what was presumed to be a potential violent plot by their 15-year-old son, who was a volunteer firefighter and an altar boy. The father detailed their plight in a now unavailable GiveSendGo fundraising page, illustrating the profound impact of this investigation on their family life and finances. According to the unpublished fundraising page, the Ruffinis had been grappling with unexpected legal fees resulting from an aggressive investigation into their son, who was convicted on a minor misdemeanor and placed in juvenile probation for breach of peace. So, looks to me like they are trying to set this family up, and the son in particular. So, anyway, yeah, kind of interesting. That's on Gateway Pundit. Severe winter storm freezes planes on the runway. Again, we mentioned this earlier, but I felt like this article had a few more details and some other pictures. So yeah, with the frozen planes, it's chemically ice nucleated frozen planes. It almost makes you think that they may have planned that particular photo op, but who knows? Biden's DOJ fines Tennessee Christian trucking company $700,000 for requiring workers to disclose legal status. Covenant Trucking. Biden's Department of Justice has slapped a whopping $700,000 fine on Covenant Transport and the affiliated transport management services, both stellar examples of Tennessee's robust transportation sector. The recent decision by the Department of Justice to impose a $700,000 fine on the company based out of Chattanooga raises significant concerns about the overreach of federal power and the disregard for the realities faced by businesses in regulating their workforce. The DOJ under Biden claims this measure is to resolve alleged violations of the anti-discrimination provision, here we go, of the Immigration and Nationality Act by Covenant and its affiliated entity, Transport Management Services. The department accuses Covenant of discriminating against non-U.S. citizen workers by requiring specific documentation to confirm their legal status to work in the U.S. How dare they? They simply wanted to confirm that those people that wanted the jobs were actually legal to work in the U.S. And for that, the Biden DOJ is coming down hard on them. So that's what you get for following the law. So anyway, yep, that's on Gateway Pundit. Popular YouTuber with millions of subscribers deletes all videos after giving his life to Christ. Popular YouTube prankster Gideon has deleted all of his YouTube videos after giving his life to Jesus Christ. In September of this year, Gideon released a video and told his 7 million subscribers that his videos will no longer involve him pranking people, but his content will instead consist of him spreading the gospel due to him turning his life to Christ. Now, just 1 month after he's dedicated his life to Jesus, he has deleted all of his videos on YouTube. Over the years, Gideon has amassed well over 682 million views. By deleting his videos, he will no longer receive any compensation from YouTube for those videos, but Gideon has shared that he no longer cares about the things this world has to offer. Rather, he is focused on the kingdom of God. In the newest video he released, Gideon shared how his pranking videos led to 3 people being fired and led people into sin. So, wow, that's pretty amazing. And what have you done today? I mean, I think that's pretty cool. So, yeah, different arguments, I suppose, could be made on either sides of the situation. But overall, I think this guy is doing the right thing. I think that's good. I'd never even heard of him before this article, but pretty wild. All right, on nottobe.com, we've got a couple articles pulled up here. A Vermont Christian school is suing after being banned from sporting tournaments because they refused to let a male play against their girls' team. Earlier this year, Mid-Vermont Christian School Eagles voluntarily forfeited their girls' basketball playoff game in protest against their opponents who were allowing a male to compete on their girls' team. Unsurprisingly, the raging ideologues who made these decisions decided to punish the school for its transgressions. Says the Vermont Christian school forfeited a game in the girls' state basketball playoffs because its opponent had a transgender student on the team's roster will be prohibited from participating in future tournaments because they're horrible racists. They're horrible anti-trans people. The school, to its tremendous credit, is not taking this lying down. So they're suing after it was banned from the athletic tournaments. So I guess that's good. Not that the judges will side with the Christian school, but at least they're trying. The guy who stabbed Derek Chauvin 22 times in prison did it for the BLM movement and was a former FBI informant, according to the LA Times. So, yeah, we talked about this a little while ago, but he was also an FBI informant. Pretty interesting. Biden tells corporations to bring down their prices since inflation has come down, gets fact-checked to high heaven. This was his tweet that no doubt he didn't even say, but here's what it says. Let me be clear to any corporation that hasn't brought their prices back down. Even as inflation has come down, it's time to stop the price gouging. Give American consumers a break. So he's blaming the businesses for his problems. It says this is the reality. Readers added context that they thought people might want to know. So this is the fact checking. As long as the inflation rate is positive, prices are increasing. The fact that inflation has come down to 3.2% in October means that prices are still going up, albeit at a slower rate than before. Yeah, sorry, Jack, but just because inflation isn't 8% anymore doesn't mean prices are going down. It's just a slower rise, right? But you wouldn't know that. You're a dead guy, so what do prices matter to you? Seriously, though, this is such an incredible level of dumb. Community notes on Twitter. Sandra Day O'Connor, first female SCOTUS justice, passes away at 93. first woman to serve on the Supreme Court. Sandra Day O'Connor passed away at the age of 93 from complications related to dementia. In nominating O'Connor for the bench in 1981, President Ronald Reagan called her truly a person for all seasons, possessing those unique qualities of temperament, fairness, intellectual capacity, and devotion to the public good, which have characterized the 101 brethren who have preceded her. O'Connor helped liberal justices pen the Casey decision on an abortion expanding case involving Planned Parenthood, who would regularly side with liberals on the court. So that's what Reagan got for appointing her, apparently. O'Connor retired from the Supreme Court in 2006. So anyway, yep, she has now passed away. If you didn't already know about that. Thought this cartoon on InfoWars was pretty funny. It's pretty accurate, at least. Unfortunately, it's very accurate. Gavin Newsom is looking better every day as America goes crashing. And you can see the California Newsom plane in even worse shape. Pentagon confirms U.S. warship and commercial ships under attack in the Red Sea. Despite no confirmation from the Pentagon on who exactly were the attackers, one might suspect Yemen's Iran-supported Houthi rebels, who have frequently attacked ships in the Red Sea, could be responsible. Yep. And in a significant development, AP News reported that the U.S. Arleigh Burke-class destroyer and 2 commercial vessels were targeted in the Red Sea. This incident is part of a growing trend of maritime attacks in the waters of the Middle East. Well, I think they're putting them in harm's way so that they will get attacked. Did I miss something here? Seems to me like that's what's going on. Trying to create a false flag event to get us involved in something we should not be involved in. That's what it sounds like. VaccineImpact.com. Got a few articles here, not too many new ones this week on this site. Killing Palestinians with U.S. bombs is now called, quote, the gospel. So there you go. That's what they say, at least. After a brief ceasefire in Gaza, the bombs are pouring into Gaza once more, where reportedly over 700 people have been killed in just the last 24 hours, as the genocide of the Palestinian people continues. Overnight and into Sunday, intense bombing was reported in Khan Yunis, Rafah, and some northern parts targeted by Israel's air and ground attacks. So it goes on and on, doesn't it? Exposing the Christian Zionism cult is another article on here, and the rest of these are ones that we mentioned last week. So yeah, vaccineimpact.com, and then GeoWatch for this week. We have engineering winter weather. Mr. Dane, he says climate engineering may be the least worst climate solution, quote unquote. So says a new report from Clean Technica. After over 75 years of climate intervention operations, clearly the Clean Technica conclusion couldn't be further from the truth. A new UN report headline has just stated science points to climate collapse, but the climate engineering component in the equation is, of course, never mentioned. A new Weather Channel report asks, do changing temperatures make you sick? Would it be more appropriate to ask if it's what is in the changing weather that's making us sick? For the record, cloud seeding fallout from climate engineering operations are contaminating our precipitation. This isn't speculation. It's a lab testing proven fact. And above it all, it is the deterioration of the ozone layer continues to accelerate, as new reports have just confirmed. And he has had multiple interviews with a guy who has measured, using his different high-tech metering devices, the ozone. And it's very interesting. It is not looking good. So that is on geoengineeringwatch.org, and that is the December 2 edition of Global Alert News. It's a don't miss, so make sure you check that one out. It's on YouTube, as well as Dane is also available on, he's on Spotify, and then that's audio only, and then also on BitChute and Rumble as video. And those are where you'll find the uncensored versions of the show. And that definitely is in play recently, mostly because of comments made about Israel and the whole war that's not a war situation. Because how can you have a war when only one side has a military and equipment? All right. So this is a video I came across. I haven't actually watched it yet, but I did find it here. King Charles talks with female climate leaders in Dubai. So this has to do with the whole COP28 thing. And this is on the Royal Family channel, which I've talked about a couple weeks in a row here. So yeah, it is available, and we'll link to this on the Substack post. And this article is one that my friend Loyalty had posted in our band group, which if you're not in band, you should be in the band group. It's totally free, and you can join very easily just with a few clicks. It's easy to use, and they don't censor in band, and we don't censor either. As the admin type people there, says the king unveils the Astra Carta seal at a space sustainability reception at Buckingham Palace. His Majesty, the King, has welcomed astronauts, business leaders, environmentalists, and scientists at a space sustainability event at Buckingham Palace. So now they're getting into sustainability in space. I didn't even know space was under duress. Did you? Anyway. Yeah, and then Janine here in chat saying, I wonder if Charles or his son is the Antichrist. That is the position that I personally have taken as of a number of months ago at this point, based on the research of Tim Cohen. I don't know if you know who that is, but I do think that he is onto something. And he's been saying that Prince Charles, now King Charles, he will be the Antichrist. He's not officially yet, but he will be. And in fact, Charles knows this. And he's been working toward that end most of his life. And that, in fact, he's been running the world in the shadows really since his investiture back in 1969 when he became Prince Charles. So, and if you look at the organization of so many of the British Commonwealth in general, but in so much of the globalism that is happening throughout the world now, Charles is at the head of that. So, yeah, I do think that Charles will become the biblical Antichrist. Does he match what people assume the biblical Antichrist will be like? No. But also keep in mind that people assume wrongly, not really based in biblical fact and scripture, on who the Antichrist, what his personality will be like, and all these different things. And they assume a lot of things that isn't even there. It's just been picked up along the years, and it's sort of solidified in a belief that's not really exactly 100% true. So, I mean, my mind is open. I think it's possible that he's not, but I do think that the evidence certainly points to it's Charles himself, not his sons, not either one of his sons, that are the leading candidate, as it were, for the biblical Antichrist. Yeah, and again, look at the research of Tim Cohen. I think it's amazing. He's done some amazing work. So yeah, this is an interesting article here, and it's Charles doing his thing. And there's some interesting things though on this article talking about the space sustainability reception. So whatever, a little bit ridiculous, but anyway. But thanks to Loyalty for posting this royal.uk article in our band group. That's where that was. And here's Loyalty's YouTube channel. He and I are going to start doing some live streams together at some point. He's letting me live stream to his channel. This is it if you want to subscribe at any point, but it's on YouTube, Loyalty in the Last Days. That's what it is, Loyalty in the Last Days. And in fact, back on the 11th, I did my first broadcast on his channel. That's what you'll see there, right there, the 11:11 show. And we're going to do further broadcasts, possibly on the 11th, probably stick to the 11th, and we'll see how it goes. And yeah, definitely subscribe to Loyalty. He's doing a really good job. And of course, his videos, he's got lots of really, really interesting stuff. And it's all end times events related. So feel free to check this out. Loyalty in the Last Days. New study at Gezer site proves biblical accounts of David and Solomon. So this is on Israel 365 News. This was the purpose of the forced labor which Shlomo imposed. It was to build the house of Hashem, his own palace, the Milo, the wall of Jerusalem, and Hazor, Megiddo, and Gezer. A new radiocarbon study, which you can believe that or not believe it, of an important archaeological site seems to have made a significant step towards ending a scientific debate and establishing that the biblical accounts of King David and King Solomon were historically accurate. So, and it goes into the details of this. So we'll link to this in the Substack post for tomorrow. But I thought that was kind of interesting. And it's on Israel 365 News, which they do occasionally have some good articles on there. And they're very pro-Israel, obviously, being how it's Israel 365 News. So so just keep that in mind when you're reading through things. But pretty interesting story there. And let's see. I guess we've reached the end of the articles, looks like. So we are here. So that means we're going to go through and take a look as quick as possible at the comments and questions, if there are any, over in the chat. And nobody really chatting in Rumble, although there's a number of people over there watching. So hello if you're there on Rumble. Welcome. Glad you're here. And I don't know why you guys don't chat on Rumble. I think that's kind of funny. It is there, though, if you guys want. And nobody's going to censor you guys. So just know that if you want to say hello, you can. Looks like Miss Emily did over in Rumble. So, yeah, thanks for doing that. Let's see. Lots of hellos and back and forths. And let's see if there's any questions for me. Make sure you put them in all caps so I don't miss them. Lots of hellos and back and forths. And I'm looking to see if there's any comments or questions. Cowboy says, Scripture says we all fall short of his glory. And in James 2:10, if we break the least of the laws, we break them all because all sin is equal in God's eye. Yeah. And then Vicky says, that was a scripture that convicted me of my sin when Yah pinched me. That's good. Yeah. There's a lot of power in that scripture. Makes a person think, because if I tell a lie, it's no different than killing someone. Yep. Soon the prisons will be full of whistleblowers, aka truth tellers. Yep. I would say whistleblowers and just people who like to talk about the truth. Why aren't these Christians listening? Well, they are deceived. It is foretold in Scripture. They are highly deceived. Yep. Yeah, they don't even listen to the word, Cowboy says. Yep. Please pray for those who reject the truth, that they will hear it soon and have no excuse in the end, in Jesus' name. Janine says, amen. Yes, thank you, Janine. It's a good prayer. Janine, we have to come back tomorrow and hit the like button. Doug has to edit this. He has to delete and repost it. Yep. YouTube will strike me down, just like Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yes, they will. They will, and they have done that on numerous times. Oh, Gerhard is here in the Rumble chat. So hello, Gerhard. Again, promoting band. You feel free to join the band group. You can do that all day long, even when we're not live streaming. You can look it up on band.us is the website. Just do a search for the Diamond Report or look for my name and you'll find it. Or if you're on the Substack, you'll get emails from me, a couple per week, and that also will have the links to the band group in there. So yeah, it's free, and feel free to join that if you're looking for a community. We would be honored to have you in part of our group. Susan says, and his judgment is based on our choices. So yes, most of us have cause to tremble because we all fall short. Thankful for the blood of our Savior, Yeshua Jesus. Yes. Well said, Susan. How long do you think it will be before things go down and the mark will be required? Vicky is asking. Before things go down and the mark will be required. Well, things are already down. They're just going to keep going down. As far as the timeline goes, I would look for it at some point after early 2025. And let's look at that. If you have no idea what I'm talking about and where I pulled that from, it's from this timeline. And this is something, if you guys are not familiar with my work, I have done a series. There's now a total of 15 videos in the series called End Times Dates. And it's all based on Jesus Christ returning in 2028, September of 2028. Not my date. It's a date of a project that I I got that from a project I worked on years ago, called 2028 End, and it's mentioned here on this timeline. So feel free to look at this if you haven't already, and it's available here on this this timeline. There's quite a bit of info here, but right here in the lower part of the screen where it says Antichrist's reign begins 3.5 years starting January 2025, I think that at that point, if it is Charles, he will be fully indwelled by the spirit of Satan. And whether or not there'll be a third temple, I don't really know. It seems like there probably would be by then, but that's really not that far away. You're only talking about, a year from now. So I don't know if they can. I'm not sure exactly how fast they could build the third temple. I've heard anywhere from 18 months or less. But the plans are there, and I don't know that the third temple has to be there necessarily for the Antichrist's reign to begin. I'm just saying that I think that it would be early 2025, and that could be about when your question is coming into fruition here. How long do you think it will be before things go down? The mark will be required. I think by then it probably will be. So yeah, that's a year, and we have a little time perhaps, but there could be some ramp up before that. And this is speaking of this particular timeline, which is really based on years as well as the book of Revelation, certain events. The other thing that I've mentioned over the last few months is this on this particular show is this other event timeline that's really not really based on times. It's based on unfolding events, how things could potentially unfold. And I haven't changed this really much at all since I set this timeline thing back up, or since I set it up in early 2023. So I think that this will help trigger the Great Reset and so forth. And then you get into these other blocks here, which talk about the blockchain system and the diem-based system, global monetary system based on blockchain, quantum computers, name of the one world currency remains to be seen, CBDCs and so forth, microneedle array vaccine patch. Of course, this is a lot of this, not the timing, but a lot of the details of this is based on Anthony Patch's work, so full credit and kudos to him. So, but it just makes sense to me that it would be unfolding in this way, give or take a bit. And I don't know. I think we're talking about the next 12 to 24 months. Really, is what we're looking at, in my opinion. And I would love to be wrong. I have a family and want to stay living as long as possible. However, I do think that we are in the end times and we are seeing things unfold at an unprecedented rate. So that's why it definitely makes sense to get right with God as soon as possible, because we don't know how long we have. That's the bottom line. All right, let's see here. Just watched a great video about Yeshua as the bridegroom. Had to post it in band, Vicky says. Yeah, so I'm glad you're in band. And yeah, definitely post it. I wouldn't mind seeing that myself. Let's see here. Deer in the headlights is Kamala's natural state, Emily says. Yeah, I think you're right. She's naturally a deer in the headlights. Or roadkill in the headlights. Ding dong, the warlock is dead, Janine says. Yep, just thought that up. That's funny. Kissinger is doing the ghoul boogie with the queen, ? Dancing lively over the sulfur and brimstone, maybe? I don't know. I tend to think he's probably getting his just rewards right now. There's some people that I've mentioned in some of the End Times Dates videos, and they talk about how they have visited heaven multiple times, and they've talked about also how they visited hell, and they were accompanied by Jesus, and Jesus purposely protected this person and showed them hell so they could see it. And they claimed that they saw Hitler in hell on a meat hook, and that she was told that Satan punishes those who serve him. Whoever serves him the most gets punished the most. Does that make sense? So perhaps Mr. Kissinger has his own private room in Hades, or his own meat hook if he's as lucky as Hitler is. I don't know. It's just an interesting concept, really, more than anything. But it is possible. I mean, we just don't know. And hopefully we'll never see that. But, yeah. Thank you, Doug. Would you please include the link to your timeline again, Vicky says. Yeah, I will do that. And actually, I'll put that in the Substack post. I don't think I've done that. So I will do that. But you can get there by going to the any of the End Times Dates videos on the YouTube channel, which is not that one. It is right here. Take it to the Lord in prayer, End Times Dates. What the easiest way to find the videos is you can scroll down until you see the gold covers here, End Times Dates, or easier than that, you can just go to the playlists page and you'll see 2 playlists. One of them is these Diamond Report live shows that I put back on YouTube that are fully edited and fully censored, where I'm having to censor what I'm saying. But this playlist right here is Take It to the Lord in Prayer, End Times Dates. Part 1 is the first video. And if you go to any of these videos in here and you click more, you will see right here, Revelation Timeline Graphic, Original Timeline by Fuel Project and dates added by the Diamond Report based on 2028 end. Here's the link right here. It's a OneDrive link, and you can go there and download it. And that particular link is in all 15 of these End Times Dates videos. Well, there's only 13 on YouTube. There's 15 total. 2 of them got banned. So parts 6 and 7 of End Times Dates are only available on the other platforms like Rumble and BitChute and Brighteon and so forth. So, but yeah, you can get there from any of those videos. Just open up the description box there, and you can do that on these other channels as well. They have the same link, so you can get to it from the Rumble channel or from the BitChute channel or from the Brighteon channel. Those all have those End Times Dates videos on there as well, although it's a little harder to find the End Times Dates videos because they're older. You have to scroll a ways to get to them. So the easiest thing to do probably, unfortunately, is to go to the YouTube playlist and pull up any of these videos. So yeah, we clicked on part 1 here. Let's go to part 15. And we scroll down here and do the More button, and it opens up the description box. And here it is right here, Revelation Timeline Graphic. So that's where it is. And I will put that link in the Substack post for you guys if you want to check it out. But yeah, this is it. And know that it hasn't really changed at all. The dates have stayed the same since I came up with this whole concept back in 2019, early 2019, and put out the first video when I realized things were probably going to go off the rails, as it were, and started talking about how I thought 2020 was going to be a banner year and really strange things would really start happening in 2020. And guess what happened in 2020? A little thing called COVID. So, yeah, I was out there talking about 2020 back in 2019, and that's when this timeline was really thought up. That's when I put it together. Now, the white timeline is based on the Fuel Project's work, so I can't and don't take credit for that. The red boxes are information that I've added to their timeline based on the book of Revelation. I didn't feel like I needed to change anything on that. The only thing that I really had changed, I suppose, if you want to look at it from that standpoint, is down here, I would disagree with the Fuel Project's assumption that there is a peace treaty starting the 7 years. Right here, where it's talking about attention switches back to Israel. Daniel's 70th week begins with the Antichrist peace treaty, 7 years, in parentheses. I disagree with that. I don't think there is an Antichrist peace treaty. And I've made a video about that. I've made several videos about that. But the one that really, if you're interested in that whole idea that there's no 7 year, or that there's no Antichrist peace treaty, like this timeline is stating here, that's why I've got it in yellow down at the bottom, no peace treaty. So the idea, though, is it's covered in episode 13, so part 13 of End Times Dates. as to why I believe that there is no Antichrist peace treaty. I think that Daniel 9:27, which is what this is referring to, is talking about Jesus Christ, not the Antichrist. And it goes into quite a bit of depth there. Oh, thank you, Emily, for posting the band link over in the chat on Rumble. So thanks. Yeah, very cool. And yeah, I think if you try and post links in the chat on YouTube, it will block you from doing that. That's not a setting on my end, I don't think. I will check that. But yeah, the links do show up if you're in the chat on Rumble. So thanks for posting that over there. And yeah, know that it is on the Substack as well, if you're interested in that band group. So yeah, this is the timeline, and again, it hasn't really changed. I've added the red blocks to the existing Fuel Project timeline, and it's based on working on the project 2028end.com. It was a DVD and video project that I worked on years ago now, back in, well, it's about almost exactly 5 years ago, I guess, because it was 2018. It was December of 2018 when I was doing this project called 2028 End. And I believe he's the guy that put that together. Gabriel Ainsley Erb is a friend of mine, and he's done a really good job. He wrote a book called 2028 End, and it's about Jesus returning in 2028 and Feast of Trumpets 2028. And by doing that, by returning Feast of Trumpets, he will fulfill Scripture, which, of course, when Jesus returns, he will fulfill the Scriptures. I mean, it's just a given. It's a given. I think almost all theologians really who have studied this at all really agree with that idea that when Jesus returns, he will be fulfilling Scripture. So by coming back, Feast of Trumpets, it's also known as no man knows the day or the hour. You may have heard that. And that's the first thing people will say if you say anything as far as a date goes with Jesus returning. They will say, well, no man knows the day or the hour. And they just take it at face value that that's what Jesus meant when he said that. But if you look a little deeper, no man knows the day or the hour was the name of the feast. That was the Feast of Trumpets. He called it that because, back when they were trying to figure out when this feast was going to happen, they were looking for a sign in the heavens. And no man knows the day or the hour because they were looking for a sliver of the moon, the first sighting of the moon. And then from that, they were able to then determine, the actual timing of the feast. So the Feast of Trumpets is also known as no man knows the day or the hour. So that's what was meant. So when Jesus said no man knows the day or the hour, he was literally saying when he was coming back, Feast of Trumpets. He didn't say what year, of course, but it's a very interesting concept, and it's not mine. It's Gabriel Ainsley Erb's. He's done some really amazing work and put together some incredible videos on it. And I got to work on a project with him back about 5 years ago in 2018. And so that's where I kind of got this whole idea of, okay, well, if we know that Jesus is ostensibly returning in September of 2028, let's put that in this timeline and work backwards. So that's why I plugged in the date there where it says Jesus return and work backwards from there. And from that, you can, using Scripture, you can get certain other dates that will pop out, including when the final 7 years, or Daniel's 70th week starts, which 7 years prior to September 2028 would be September 2021. And that's what I have on this timeline. So anyway, you guys can delve deeper into that if you are interested. But yeah, this timeline is available, and we'll link to it in the Substack post for tomorrow. And you can find my other work on, let's see here, Diamond Report on Twitter. This is still a pretty new profile. I'm still kind of building it. If you guys are on Twitter, X, feel free to subscribe there. Would love it if you did. And I get on there and post the censored version of the show. Like this show you see playing here is the actual upload of the video from the show I did last week. But it's the censored version, the same version that goes onto YouTube. And the uncensored version, though, you'll find that on these other platforms, Rumble and BitChute and Brighteon, and you'll be able to find me. You can just do a search for Doug Diamond or the Diamond Report, or if you want to go directly to it, use Diamond Disc. It's DIAMONDISC. spelled like this. And that is my company name. That's what that is, and that's why I've used it. It's nothing sinister or anything like, some secretive thing that has some hidden number meaning. I've had people accuse me of all kinds of crazy stuff, but it's my business name, and I can prove it because here's my website. DiamondDiscAudio.com is what my website is, which I run a music business and engineering and mixing and all kinds of interesting things like that. So that's what that is. But yeah, you can find me at Diamond Disc on these other platforms. It's just a name that I've been able to keep and use on these other platforms. So that's what that's about. And then ClickView is one of the other video platforms that gets the uncensored version. And then TikTok gets the censored version. I have to break it down into multiple clips to even put it on TikTok. But I'm trying to reach some young people on there. And I don't know. I think it's kind of working, although it's really bizarre how TikTok works. I'll put up the first, 5 or 6 clips, and I'll get 200 views per clip. So here's part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first 6 clips of last week's show got almost over 200 views each. And then the clips after that just dropped to 0 and 1. So I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with that, but I would imagine it's some sort of algorithm-related thing from the Chi-Coms. But yeah, that's TikTok for you. And then here's the band group that we've talked about, mentioned several times, but go to band.us/@the-Diamond-Report. And that is exactly what Emily posted in the chat over there on Rumble. So if you're on Rumble, go to rumble.com/user/DiamondDisc, and you'll see it. It's there. And then also accessible on the Substack. And we kind of skipped over that, but that's this page right here, diamonddisc.substack.com is where it is. Just type your email address in there and hit subscribe, or if you don't want to do that, that's okay. You can just click no thanks, and you can still get to it right here. And these are the different postings that I've done. This is last week's show. It's usually in this general area, and it's got the word links in it. If you're interested in the links, that's where it is. The other posting that looks a lot like it is the podcast version of the show. So if you want the audio version of the show, you click on the podcast, and that's what this is. So last week's show is about 2 hours long. So that's what that is. And then the links is this other posting here. And the show last week was called The Anti-Reality. And you'll see right here, there's a direct link to the band group. So you can click that and join band. The Diamond Report on band. Again, totally free, and you can go in there and do your own posts. And that's what many people have been doing. So yeah, it's a cool way to meet people and hang out and share information. That's really kind of the idea. And thank you to, I guess it was Susan and a few others that came up with that idea. So yeah, and we just switched it on, I don't know, maybe a month ago or something, and got a few people on there. I don't even think it's been a month. So yeah. Well, God bless you guys, and I guess we can wrap it up. We've got some more videos here. I didn't even show any Greg Reese videos tonight, but I've got a couple here if you guys want to watch one. And there's been some interesting things going on in Ireland. I don't know if you guys know about that, but we could watch one of those. And I've got one other Reese report that is called "A Sweeping Plan for Global Censorship Exposed." So that's something that we should definitely take a look at. So let's start with that, and then I'll play the Irish hate laws to enforce cultural suicide right after that. So 2 back-to-back Reese reports, and if you guys have already seen it, my apologies, but it's worth a revisit if you've already seen it even, because the information is really good, and it definitely applies to a world government type of situation, because everything they're imposing on certain sects of the planet. So maybe just something happening in Ireland, or just something happening in the U.S., or just something happening in Canada, or in New Zealand, like we talked about New Zealand a lot tonight. Well, you know what? It's going to happen globally, because we've got a world government coming right at us, coming right down our throats. So I think it's important to not get caught up in the fact that, okay, well, that's happening all the way over in Ireland or whatever. And man, it's going to be happening in our back door, in our yards, if we're not careful here. So we have to keep an eye on that stuff. So God bless you guys. Hope you have a blessed week. And we'll do it again next week. We'll be back here again, 10 p.m. Central on, December the 10th, next Sunday. So we'll plan to do that, and hope you guys have a super week. Feel free to reach out to me with any comments and questions you might have. You can do that through Substack. You can also do that by commenting on any of the videos on the various platforms. I didn't even mention the store. I did not have time this week to put together any new products, but I did find some really cool new products that we're going to add. So there'll be some new ones. I'll definitely try and do that this week. And we'll have a few new products. People can go on there if you want to support what I'm doing. Thank you very much. It is very, very well appreciated. You'll notice there were no commercials in this video, and nothing I do is monetized on any of the platforms. And that's because I get censored everywhere I post them. I mean, pretty much. Not Rumble and not BitChute and not Brighteon, but, there's, Twitter and which you can't really monetize things on there, but you certainly could YouTube, and my channel was demonetized almost as immediately upon setting it up. So yeah, nothing is monetized as far as that goes. So I put a lot of time into this show. So thank you guys who are supporting me through Substack, that's one tool, one way of doing that. But then also people who are buying, hats and mugs and shirts and things like that. There's definitely been a few of you guys out there. So thank you guys. And that is, it's in the black box in the corner up there. Shop.thediamond.report is where that is. So yeah, thanks you guys. Good night, and we will talk again very soon.